Hey, David.
Hello. Are we live? Well, welcome everybody. My name is David Kramer. I'm with obviously Real Colorado Edge Soccer Club. And thanks again for coming. This is our 2012 information and question and answer forum. The reason why we're having this, we usually have stuff in person, but obviously with what's going on in the world these days, it is kind of the new norm here with Zoom and trying to do all that fun stuff. So we wanted to make sure we gave everyone an opportunity to be able to come on, ask questions, get to know our staff, meet them, and just, you know, we'll keep this as formal and as informal as we can as we go on. So to start off, my name is David Kramer. I'm the Director of Soccer and Business Development for the club. And we have 3 members here with the club that we'll go through real quick and have a quick introduction and so you get to know them. Right below me is Ian Richards. To the left of me, Adam Creasy, and diagonal in the squares here is Dave Roberts. So let's start off with Dave. You guys all hopefully know Dave, but if you don't, we're going to have him come and give a little quick intro about himself and what he does at the club.
Good evening. I'm Dave Roberts, Director of Coaching for the 4 and under through the 8 and under. So your players that are interested in the academy would be leaving my caretaking, so to speak, and heading on to either Adam or Ian, and Ian more specifically with academy. Appreciated the time I've spent with your kids. Hopefully you got a few others, younger ones in the program, so I can continue to work with them as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Next up, we'll introduce to my left, Adam Creasy.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight. My name's Adam Creasy. I'm the Director of Recreational Soccer for the Edge Soccer Club. Some of your kids probably know me as Coach Tall Guy. It's been a real pleasure to work with them through the years. So we're really excited that you're here to give you information about our recreational program for the U9s and ups, and to also discuss our academy program as well. So thanks for tuning in, and look forward to chatting with you guys.
Thanks, Adam. And then last but not least, Ian Richards. Go ahead, Ian.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, whether live or the recording that pops up on YouTube after we're done with this. I'm Ian Richards. I have actually yesterday celebrated my 4th anniversary at the club. June 1st was my start date in 2016. It's been 4 great years kind of getting to know the community and the club and kind of implement my personality within the program, and looking forward to all the years ahead of us in making the club stronger and reaching out and affecting as many kids as we can in our great community. So yeah, pleased to be here, and please type any questions that you guys have into the live chat.
Thanks, Ian. And to follow up with Ian just said there, on the right-hand side on your screen for our YouTube channel, there is a chat function. That's how we will be going through questions and answers throughout the period here. We're open to answer anything we can. As we go through, we will dive a bit deeper more into the 2 programs we offer in this transitional year. So your children would have just came from the under 8 program with Coach Dave Roberts, and now as they go into that 9 and under program, the club offers two different programs, one of which is recreational, which is similar to what you've just been doing, run by Adam Creasy, and the new option now is our Academy Select program, which has been in existence about 7 years and has morphed what we believe for the better each year after year, and that's run by Coach Ian Richards. So again, feel free to type in any questions you have there, and we'll go. So to start off, I'll give Adam some time and Ian some time, but the first thing we want to discuss is really what's the difference between the 2 programs. So if Adam, you can give us a quick synopsis of what recreational soccer at Edge looks like, starting at 9 and under, and then we'll follow that up with Coach Ian.
Sounds good. Thanks, David. So yes, our recreational program starting at 9U is very similar to what you saw at 8U, except now we're going to be moving to 7v7 games. You're still going to have a volunteer coach. Practices will be twice a week. These practices will also be supported by me directly. I'll be coming in hopefully bi-weekly to run a practice session for the team as well. This is still registration based, equal playing time. So not a ton of difference other than, the numbers are a little bit bigger. And probably the biggest difference as well is we partner up with other local clubs, Westminster, Table Mountain Ice, Wheat Ridge, to create what we call the Denver West League. This has been great for us as the teams have a variety of plays. So it's not like they're just playing edge teams. So they get to play some teams from some other clubs. But the biggest convenience for you guys as a family is that you're staying local. You don't have to really travel as much. And being one of the bigger clubs out of the group I'm talking about, many times what may feel like an away game, you're actually at Stinger. So it's really like a home game. Some of the things also on the recreational side, it's really about your friends. Like, do your kids just want to continue to play with their friends? Do they want to not have maybe some of the pressure, or for you as a family to have to commit as much time or financial resources? So the most important thing though that we want you to understand is we have a home for your child. So whether that's with our academy program or with our recreational program, we're really here to help take care of you guys. If a kiddo wants to play soccer, they have an opportunity to play soccer here. And more importantly, compared to a lot of clubs, like on the recreational side, they're still getting a lot of resources so that they can develop as a player. So they'll have people like myself working directly with them. And once you're on the recreational path, does not mean, I want to make this really clear, that your child can't move from rec to academy to competitive, or if they're staying on the rec program, they always have the opportunity to go to our competitive program. We really want to honor that kids develop at different rates and different levels. And we don't want parents to feel real pressured, like, I got to do this now. So yeah, it's a great program. We want your kids out there, and we're excited.
Thanks, Adam. Ian, if you could give us a quick synopsis of the Academy Select program, some slight, differences as far as commitment level and times of the week, and just overall what the program is encompasses. That'd be great to hear.
Yeah, sure, David. And thanks, Adam, for that comprehensive, kind of all-encompassing kind of statement over what we do at U9, regardless of the two programs. Is we want obviously kids to be out there and enjoying, and our job will be to kind of foster their love for the beautiful game. So the program that I head up is really that kind of first fork in the road, if you will, in terms of a more competitive environment and route for your player versus the traditional recreational option. So the contact time in the program that I head up is 3 days a week, and games on a Saturday, which mirrors the Saturday mirrors the recreational program. But kind of the nuance within the academy program is that the travel in terms of road games is a little bit further afield. We could be up as far north in Fort Collins, and potentially down in Colorado Springs, and I've had one team in my time here actually go all the way to Pueblo for a game. So there's a little bit more involved in terms of that commitment on the weekend day, on the Saturday for those road games, and the extra day during the week as well. And that's kind of structurally, that's the main, I guess, differences in that route. And like I say, this is really the first kind of fork in the road in that sense.
Okay. Thanks, Ian. To follow up with what you just said, we have our first question here, and the question I'll pass on to you, Ian, is do we have dates yet for the Academy Select kick-arounds?
We do, yeah. It will be Saturday, June 27th at 10 a.m. Out at the Long Lake Regional Park, lower turf fields, the soccer turf that we use out there.
Okay, thanks. And the club will be sending more information out on that specific date as everyone's well aware. The field usage and getting kids back out on the fields has been very mysterious as far as when we can get back out there. We got some very promising news today that it looks like next week will be the first time we can get out. It's not official yet, but our club is planning and preparing accordingly. So there will be more information that can come out for the entire club, especially in regards to that question about the kick arounds. We'll have stuff on our website as well. So, stay tuned on all that. So next question that came in, I'll pass this on to you, Adam. The question was, how many more years are there of recreational? And for example, like by the age of 12, is the league done? Can they play longer? I'm kind of adding here to this question because I have a feeling I know what they're trying to get at. But as far as that, when and does recreational soccer leagues begin / stop? Is there an end date?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, recreational soccer can go all the way up to under 19. It's not very typical that we get all the way up to 19, but the state does a good job of trying to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to play. It's really based year to year on how many teams, but I mean, there's no problem playing recreational soccer from U9 all the way up to, U16, U15. There's plenty of teams out there. When we get into the older high school ages, it gets a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of places to play. Where it changes for us a little bit is as the kids get older, we do lose this Denver West League as we just don't have enough teams. And then we just enter the state league. So if a kid wants to play recreational till they're in high school, they can do that.
Great. And to follow up there too with what Adam has to say, as a club, we want to encourage the kids to just keep playing regardless of what level they're at as far as recreational, academy, and or competitive soccer. If we have a place for them to play, we will form teams and form programs. The part that, as Adam was mentioning, as the kids get older, we're reliant on other clubs in the state to be able to field teams, because obviously you want to play other teams. So that traditionally gets more clubs and more teams in the competitive realm as the kids get older, and it falls off a little bit on the recreational side because more kids end up going competitive. But more than likely, we tend to field teams all the way up till age 13 or 14-ish at that recreational level. So, okay, let's hop in here to another question. So Coach Ian, do you know who the coaches are yet for the Academy Select teams? And probably before we get to that, to tie it all in, if you don't mind, could you elaborate a bit more on how we run it at Edge, which is a pool system? Explain briefly what the pool system means, how rosters are formed, and what the teams, quote unquote, teams look like, and that will help give a little bit of understanding of what it means, who the coaches are, and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess I could start with that coach assignment being much like the competitive program is kind of a fluid thing. We have some coaches that have been with the program and with the club for multiple years now. So I'm hopeful and I'm almost assuming that they kind of hand over the graduating group to competitive and wish to cycle back. Obviously, with everything that's gone on this spring, contact with those coaches with not being on the field is a little trickier. So we're still working to nail down the specific names with the pools. And then that, I guess, brings me into explaining what the pool system is and how it's kind of unique. I don't know that anyone else in the state kind of runs it the exact way that we do. I believe some clubs have tried it and gone back to the more traditional way of building teams. But what I decided to do in terms of trying to enhance the individual development within the program was to create training pools of around about 20 kids, which really forms two game day rosters of 10 when we do go to the field on a Saturday. And in this first fall U9 season, we kind of mix the players in within that 20. We kind of not just throw it together on a Friday afternoon, but we declare a system of a group of 5 players will stick together for a period of games, and they'll be matched with a group of 5 players to create that roster of 10. And the same with 2 extra groups of 5 to create a roster of 10. And if we were to consider that A, B, C, and D, we would have a period where A and B form together to make a 10. And then in a couple of games, A and C come together to make a 10, and so on and so on. And so we're kind of fluid in trying to give players access to different teammates, different kids that they, attend trainings with. But then also the structure of our team formation and our shape should allow any one player to be plugged in on a roster, and the team should hopefully, still be challenged to kind of function as a team, and not necessarily just rely on, at U9 looking around and thinking these are my 8 teammates now for the next 2 years, and they kind of form those relationships with a wider group. And as we go through the program across 2 years, we kind of narrow that down where kids do pull away and become kind of the cream of the crop, and they need to that group needs to be narrowed down, and they need to play together, more likely in the U10 season. And then obviously the players that are just taking a little bit longer to develop and a little bit longer to grasp the concepts and kind of the 7v7 format, they may stay kind of middle of the pack towards the lower end, and we tier the teams in divisions in league play to provide an appropriate challenge for them in the game day environment. So kind of a long-winded answer, but ultimately what I believe in is the fall U9 season and 7v7 being kind of like the brand new format for us to kind of say, these 9 kids are the best 9, and these 9 kids are the next 9, and so on is a little bit ambitious on our part, because we know players develop at different rates, and having this larger group allows for that kind of up and down development, and maybe a kid plateaus, maybe a kid has a growth spurt, that sort of thing. So that's kind of why we run that system. A lot of clubs in the state and around the country just run a tryout and just take the 9 or 10 best they see, which is more in the competitive realm. So that's just kind of a nuance that we have here, and we've had some success kind of handing teams over to the competitive program in this format, and so far so good, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to quickly reiterate what Ian said, with our pool system, we want to make, these kids are, depending on when their birth date is, they could be even as young as 7 years old, 7, and most of them are 8 years old. We strongly believe that telling a kid you are a quote unquote A team player, first team player, and then 4 months later telling them, him or her, by the way, we're going to move you down a team, and then 4 months later, because of their development, we might move them back up a team. That roller coaster ride at really any age, but especially at age 7, 8, it's not conducive to the kids. So we want to get the big pool of kids together, teach them all the same, get the same verbiage and language from the same coach, and give them that opportunity to develop without fear of, what level am I on, which team am I on, and give them the comfort. And again, like I started this conversation off a while back, we've been doing the academy program for, I believe, almost 7 years now. And it's proven that this pool system has worked for the mental state of the kids. So, let's dive in here to some other questions. I'll pass this on to you, Adam. And this answer will pertain to academy and recreational. It's not just exclusive to either or. It will be. So the question of multi-sport athletes, and the question was, my son plays competitive baseball, still wants to play academy select, how many and whatnot. So if you could answer the multi-sport question, that'd be great.
Yeah. One of the great things I love about Edge is that we really honor the fact that kids are multi-sport athletes, and these kids are young, so we've never had issues with kids who want to play other sports, as long as both parties are in good communication. That's all we're asking for, but we really encourage kids to play other sports. So depending on if you want to go rec or academy, Ian's never turned a kid away because they want to play baseball or they want to do some other activity. It's just really a matter of, are you guys as parents going to be open and clear about, hey, here's my kid's practice schedule, here's what we're doing. So that way the coach knows what's going on and we can work around that. But again, we want to reiterate that these kids are, if they're talented in soccer, they're usually pretty talented in other sports as well. So we really want to honor that. And we believe in multi-sport athletes. So we would never turn a kid away and say, you can't do this because you play another sport. Ian, is there anything you'd like to say to that as well?
Well, just to reiterate, I guess the communication piece is the key, and almost a little bit of balance as well. I mean, there's 160 players in the program right now, and I don't know the specific number or the percentage I could put on it, but there's certainly a lot that are multi-sport in one season or another, and we just ask those families to communicate with us about running late to a game or needing to get off the field with us so that they can race to their next game. Even in the training environment, just the communication piece is huge. The balance part is, if there's a direct conflict, let's say 4:30 on a Tuesday is both sports, then we're fine with the trade-off of 1 week with us, 1 week with the other sport, as long as we know and the coaches can plan for that and know kid X is going to miss this week, and we're not all of a sudden looking around the field thinking, where are they, and that we potentially think we've lost them. So just that communication and kind of the fairness and the balance of 1 week with us, 1 week with the other sport, we really support and advocate for kids to do as much as they can handle, and as much as families are willing to take them to place. So
yeah. Thanks, guys. And to tie all that in, that is not just specific to age 9, 10-year-old kids. We had a similar presentation like this last night, which is our new upcoming 11 and under families. And that same response was given, that we do encourage multi-sport athletes as long as the communication's there. And to really tie it all in, the last team I just coached was our 18 and 19-year-old boys. I had 2 boys. They just graduated from high school, and they played varsity basketball for their high school team. So even though they were playing on our top level 18, 19-year-old boys team for club soccer, they also were playing varsity basketball. So we do encourage it. It can work. There are plenty of players that only play soccer, but there are plenty that will play multiple sports along the way. So thanks, guys. Next question here. Sorry, let me pull some of this up. Same person asking about the multi-sport. I'll pass this over to you, Ian. How many kids/teams are offered academy spots? So academy select, how many kids will be offered, quote unquote, offered spots? And maybe even backtrack before that and kind of discuss what the kick arounds are, what a kick around is, and what the definition of offering spots are. Is it a tryout, and how that whole process works?
Yeah. I noticed a couple of questions about the kick around event and what that is. So thanks for asking those questions. So the kick around is kind of an informal get together of players who, families who are interested in kind of seeing what we can put on in terms of a staff, and whether we can, deliver something that looks professional, looks next level, and kind of excites your player to be out there, but also to then give your player an opportunity to maybe get on the field with kids that they've not yet competed with. Maybe they've competed against them in the under-8s league, but to then potentially put them on the same field and let them kind of go at it in a 4v4 or small-sided setting, and kind of get them pumped about this could be my future teammate. That's also what the kick around is for. And then during the event, often we just chop and change teams over, and the red pinnies will play against the purple pinnies, and then 10 minutes, and then we'll switch and let them play against someone else. And really what we're looking for as a staff in those in that environment is an excitement and an interest from the players to just want to get on with it and kind of throw it down and score some goals and have some fun and be excited to be out there. Of course, there's some technical components and that we kind of assess, so to speak, but the kind of mentality of a player really speaks volumes at this age of, are they excited to be there? Do they not want to take the water break when we send kids away, and they want to get on the ball and just keep playing? And those are real good indicators for us that academy environment is a good spot for them. And then, like as I was kind of a long-winded answer to explain the pool system, within the last 4 years of my time at the club, we've typically had between 36 and 40 players in each age group, and a couple of times a couple over 40. I think one age group got to 42 at one point. So there's not a hard number. What we want to do is, again, use that kick round to evaluate the players that we think have the interest and have the desire to kind of take on that extra commitment. And then we make invites from that. So.
Thanks, Ian. And with that, we would want for our game day rosters, because the kids will practice as a pool, as a group, but for game day rosters, because they play 7-a-side, it would be roughly, 9 to 10, sometimes 11 players at most. So as far as number of teams, that does tend to, as Ian mentioned, kind of change each year depending on the number of kids. But the most important thing is that when we get to these game day rosters, that we don't have a lot of kids on it, because we want, kids practice all week for the most fun part of the week, which is to play the games. And we don't want them sitting on the sideline doing that. So thanks, Ian. Question, is there a way to check out the academy level? Maybe that's the kick arounds. I think, Ian, you probably addressed that. Yes, the kick around.
That's it, yeah.
It is open to anyone. That information will be coming out. So that will be open to everyone to give a look. And then I'll pass this to you, Adam. Can they play rec season if they don't make academy, and or if they just don't want to do it right off the bat? Come at that 9 and under fall season.
Yeah, most definitely. If they choose not to do academy, or it's just not their cup of tea, we'd love to have them play the rec season. That's what the rec season's for. And just to kind of clarify with the recreational program, it's registration based. So depending on how many kids we get registered, I try to build as many teams as I possibly can. And I look for volunteer coaches. So if anybody's thinking like, yeah, I may not be in academy, but I'd love to coach and work with my kiddo, let me know. And again, we'll build teams there. And a little different in terms of, like, we don't have pools at the recreational level, but typically, I try to cap those teams at rosters of about 11 to 12. Again, it's recreational soccer, so we're going to try to make sure everybody's got a place to play. But most definitely, yes, if a kid does not want to do academy, they should play recreational soccer.
And if the academy doesn't work out for them as far as placement and whatnot, we will definitely have a spot for them.
For sure.
And then that would lead into the next one here. For whatever reason, they're playing recreational soccer in the fall. And what happens if a kid is just, Adam, tearing it up, doing quite well in the fall, and realizes that maybe the recreational team he or she is on, not quite as challenged, or wants to explore into that academy program? If you don't mind explaining how that process might work between you and Ian getting that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So every year we do have some kids who start recreationally, and they just got really inspired to play and wanting to play more and take it to another level, which is awesome. So the process that we do is a parent or a coach come to me and express interest in moving to the academy program, then I would chat with Ian a little bit and say, hey, I've seen this kiddo play. Here's what I think of him. Love to give him an opportunity to come moonlight at some academy practices during the season. And Ian's always been open to having kids come in and jump in and train and play with the academy. I mean, he'll take some of my feedback as to what I see as the player's strengths and weaknesses, and then he'll get a good firsthand look at that player as they train with the academy kiddos. And then more often than not, you know, that parent, that family has an opportunity to decide, yeah, I want to do the academy program. That's something that then Ian and I would talk about. If it's middle of the fall season, we'll probably delay that till the spring season. But yes, we have kids make that transition season to season, year to year.
Great, thanks, Adam. And then the other question was vice versa, and I'll have you answer this, Ian. What happens if a player is in academy and for whatever reason just not doing well? If you want to elaborate on, you know, kids doing well and not well, and or if they just want to move on from academy, can they go into the recreational program?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a two-way street. I guess what I could lead with is joining the program or being invited into the program. We as the staff, me as the director, and the staff that we hire want to make and will make a 2-year commitment to the player, meaning that their spot is in the program, their spot is there as long as they would like to play U9 and U10 Academy. Obviously, there's 2 different registration periods for that, but we don't, it's kind of a harsh word to use, but we don't cut any player. We don't get 3 months in and go, oh, that was a mistake, and get rid. We want to work with that player and kind of help them come out of maybe that trough that they've dipped into in terms of their enjoyment or their development or their success. And obviously it has happened that the families have ultimately removed their player from the program. And I would, without having the data kind of in front of me, I'm confident that I don't know that any player has come out of the program and then just quit soccer altogether. I think they've typically, I would say 99% of the time, gone back into that recreational program and just found that love for the game again and enjoyed playing in maybe a more relaxed environment where the challenge is more appropriate.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Ian. And then to follow up on these last 2 questions, there was a third question, and I can answer this. It was, how do the fees work in these scenarios? And it's pretty, as long as the communication is there, and if we're talking it, you know, split right down the middle, you play the fall season as an academy player, and then you decide in the winter break that you want to go into the spring and not play academy anymore and go into that recreational program. It's just a split. You know, the academy you pay for the year, so whatever that you paid for that year, we would just cut it in half because you played the fall, and that money would be prorated, or credited into the spring season for the recreational program. And if there's anything left over, it would go back to you, and vice versa. If your player was in the recreational program and wanted to join in the spring, then the fee would be half of, you know, the annual fee to make up the difference on that. So that's how those fees work. So next question, Ian, if the question was, if you have 40 academy level players but only 2 coaches, what happens? Is there a max number of teams of academy level? So maybe help explain what our coaches do, the leads, the assistants, and how that week would look / on the weekends specific to the teams.
Yeah. So I guess the example in the question is actually the math that works out pretty nice. So 40 kids with 2 hired coaches would actually be kind of the almost ideal scenario that we've delivered the program across a number of years now. So those 2 coaches in an ideal world would, the 40 makes 2 pools of 20. The 2 coaches do back-to-back sessions with 20 players each time. And then within the training environment, those two coaches can manage the 20 players at a ratio of obviously 1 to 10, one coach for 10 players. And then those two coaches are each responsible for 2 game day rosters each come Saturday. So that math is actually really pretty and works out. And then obviously, if I'm not factored in as one of those coaches, I'm kind of the third set of eyes in a training environment or for game day coverage. So we have kind of plenty of staff and plenty of eyes on those groups.
Okay, thanks, Ian. And just so you all know too, as well, to elaborate on what Ian said about the coach, we want to keep that for the academy, the coach to player ratio very low, or as low as we can. And oftentimes it's even lower than a recreational team that might have, 12, 13 players on a roster for the recreational team with a coach. At academy, we do our best to keep it at that 1 to 10-ish player to coach ratio. So the groups are manageable. So even though that there might be 20 kids practicing at the same time, there'll be 2 coaches with them. It won't be one coach trying to work with 20 kids. I would even have a hard time doing that with 20 18-year-olds, let alone 28-year-olds. So we always make sure we have a good ratio there. I'll pass this on to you, Adam, because the answer is going to be the same for recreational and academy. It doesn't matter for the program. Our practice times the same week to week and fall to spring.
Yeah, I mean, like for the recreational program, we offer practice session times from 4:30 to 5:30 and 5:30 to 6:30. In the recreational program, a lot of that's just dictated by the availability of the coach. So I'll reach out, ask the coach for their practice times. But, typically a coach will choose a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, and we'll choose one of those time slots, 4:30 to 5:30 or 5:30 to 6:30. And for that fall season, it doesn't change at all. Something may happen for the spring. Maybe the coach doesn't come back, or maybe the coach's job situation changes, and they might have to adjust their time, their days. We kind of navigate that as the season comes to a close. But if they sign up, it'll be the same time, same place at Stinger every week.
Okay, great, Adam. Let's see, next one. I can answer this too, because it's similar to what Adam just said. When will we know which nights and practices are for the academy level? Again, those are set from the coaches. It starts with Ian and the coach availability that works out for fields and all that. We for recreational and academy select, we do our best to get that information out as soon as possible. Traditionally, we start working on those practice schedules for every team and program in our club right around late July. This year, we hope that's the same. That's not being on the fields late July. It's working on the practice schedules to get the information out to the families. We hope that's the same this year. That's the asterisk right now. We fully anticipate being on the fields as normal. But as we all know right now, everything seems to be a fluid and ever-changing process with COVID. Are the facilities the same between the programs? So specifically turf versus natural grass. I'll try to add stuff in there. I'm assuming, so we have 2 facilities that we predominantly use, which is Stanger Soccer Complex and Long Lake Ranch. For recreational, they do all their practices at Stanger, which is natural grass. And for Academy Select, it is probably 99% of their practices are at Stanger Soccer Complex, which is natural grass. At Long Lake, we have natural grass and artificial turf. The only time that at this age, the kids would end up on the artificial turf or even at Long Lake, it's, if the grass fields are closed due to weather or the time of the year, and or if the lights, the Long Lake Ranch has lights So when the daylight changes every now and again, the academy kids have to go over to Long Lake Ranch to practice just because of the lights, but it's very minimal that they are at Long Lake. And I would say 99% to 100% of our time for recreational academy select is at Stanger, which is natural grass. Ian, if there's more than 40 kids interested in academy, would there be a possibility to have more than 4 teams / pools? And that seems like a very large group for this age group. If you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, we're not obviously tied into only providing opportunity for that amount of players. That's been the kind of number in terms of the level of interest and the positions that we've offered in 4 years of me being with the program and at the club. But if 60 players expressed an interest in kind of taking it to the next level, and we could honor what we would like to provide for everyone in terms of coaching ratios and the quality of everything that we try and deliver, then that's a possibility as well. Hasn't happened yet, but certainly a possibility.
Great. And we'll back to you again, Ian. There was a question that says, realize we were just out of town June 27th. Is this the only opportunity? That's the date of our kick around to try, quote unquote, try out for a fall academy. So maybe go back again and talk a little bit more about the difference between this kick around / tryout. And actually we don't do tryouts, but if you want to elaborate on that, and then what happens if players of families can't make it on that date?
Yeah, I guess I'll lead with, if you can't make it then send me an email. Let's set up we'll get a kind of an email conversation going about opportunities and possibilities for to come out perhaps later in the year. More likely, and this has happened before, more likely that by the time we actually get up and running and on the field for that kind of preseason phase, we've had players who missed the kick arounds and we didn't have any sort of, I guess you could say, information or data about who they played for, who they played with, and potentially couldn't get a recommendation, which is potentially the position that we're in now with not having a spring season. So there's certainly ways that we can provide opportunities for players to come out and join us, maybe by the time early August that we get on the field. And there's no deadline in terms of declaring rosters to the state association or anything like that. We don't get locked in or roster freezes or anything like that. So send me an email. I'll type in my email address actually into the chat function, and we'll connect and talk. That goes for anyone else in that boat with the June 27 date that might not work out, then please reach out.
Great. Thanks, Ian. Another Academy question. So Ian, how many tournaments does Academy participate in usually?
Sorry, I was just typing my email address.
How many tournaments does Academy traditionally usually participate in?
Oh, so the team plan, the yearly plan that we'll issue, and the information will be included in kind of the registration piece of what to look forward to in the calendar, the full year of the 9U season. Will be 3 tournaments at 9U, or traditionally has been that way. One in the fall. So in mid-October, Colorado Soccer Association hosts their cup. Last year it was called the Target Cup. I know Target did a huge sponsorship around the country, and they were the kind of lead sponsor on that. So that's the only one in the fall, and then we kick off the spring season with a tournament in Littleton, and we end the spring season with our own Stenger Invitational on Memorial Weekend. So at 9U there's 3, but at 10U there's a 4th. We kind of segue a tournament in Broomfield in mid-August to kick off the 10U season. which the reason 9Us don't play in that is we're still only just taking baby steps in getting to know the players and families and starting the training. So to throw them in the deep end in a tournament after 1 week is a little much. So 3 at U9 and 4 at U10 is the answer.
Great, thanks. So for everyone looking at the chat thing, it looks like we've gotten through all the questions. So we have a couple more minutes to talk, but if anyone has any more questions, please get them in there right now. So before we finish up here, I want to make sure a lot of these questions, if you've been on the whole time, are about Academy Select, and that is very traditional. It's usual because Academy is a bit of an unknown. Your player would have been playing quote unquote recreational soccer in-house under the guidance of Dave Roberts for the past 3, 4, 5 years. And now we're jumping in here and Academy is a new thing. So if we could just go back to you, Adam, could kind of tie it all in as far as recreational soccer. We just want to make sure as a club that no matter what choice your child wants to do or you do for your child as a parent, we want to make sure we have an opportunity for them, him or her, to keep playing. So if you could elaborate a little bit more on that to tie all that in and help us out with that, Adam.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about Edge is that regardless of what path your kid chooses or what path you guys as a family that works for you, what I really want to stress is that your son or daughter is going to be taken care of, is not just going to be left on an island, but will still continue to get training, support from Edge staff. Even on the recreational side, I come in, I work with the players, I provide the coaches with curriculum. We do a lot of coaches clinics. We truly are there to support your kid regardless of if they play recreational or academy. And I just really want to stress to the families out there that neither path is right or wrong. It's just a matter of where are you guys at? Where is your kiddo at? I would highly encourage you to chat with your son or daughter and just kind of see where they're at. If they really have a desire to play with kids of likability level and want to travel a little bit and really grow and get after it, then Academy might be a good place for them to check out. And you know, if they're still a little newer to the game or their main motivation might just be to be with friends and get some exercise, but still learn and enjoy the sport, but at a little less stressful level, so to speak, then recreational is a great option. I mean, the bottom line is, you know, we're a community and we want to support you guys as families, and we still want to provide a great product regardless of what path you choose. And again, this is not the end all be all. If you start recreationally, you can always move towards the academy or down the road to competitive, and vice versa. If you start in the academy and you're going on to competitive and things in your life change, you know, but you still love the sport, then play recreational soccer. I mean, we really are here for you. And I know, speaking for all of us, we're just thankful for all the families we have here in the Arvada area. We really can't do this without you guys. So we appreciate your time on here. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, reach out to Ian. You know, we also talk a lot with Dave. So like Ian was alluding to, if your kid can't make a kick around, Dave's going to have information on your son or daughter. I'm going to have information on your son or daughter. We'll reach out to your recreational coach. So we've got a lot of data there, so we'll make sure that we try to steer you in the right direction.
Great, thanks, Adam. And looks like that's all the questions for tonight. So we greatly appreciate everyone who was able to come on live with us. You're looking at four soccer coaches to start. And for the last 10 weeks here, we've turned into, well, not me, but others have turned into Zoom conference call webinar experts here. So this is all new to us, and we appreciate your time coming on live with us. And we're glad you're able to hopefully get some answers to you. And to lastly, you can always go on our website, edgesoccer.net. All of our contact information is on there. Everything about the programs we just talked about, the programs above your kids' ages as well, as you move up. It's all there. We're all here for you. And thanks again. Hope you have a good night. And we look forward to seeing everyone back on the fields in the very near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.